Testing 1 2. All right, so this morning, let's see what we got on the scans. Starting with the low floats. And low floats there. BDRX leading with 25%. I do not see a catalyst for it. Vero with 22%. No catalyst. ASNS, no catalyst. CYN, and then walk. Let's look at the non-micros. AMCI was something that we saw, I believe it was moving yesterday, and it moved quite a bit into the aftermarket. So this thing went from $6 up to 15, back to $9.75. And let's see, AMC Robotics shares halted. Another kind of sentimental move. IVP, OCG, cheaper stock, PAVs, and INDH. PAVs won't even look. There it is. INDH. All right, so yesterday I took my first red trade of the month. And let me show it to you. So right here, YCB, I went back out there and played with it again. Now, overall, I'm still green on it, but I did get back quite a bit of profit. I won 7 cents yesterday, or whenever that was, Friday, and gave back about 8 cents on it. I don't know. I guess I got price improvement on the win that I took. But either way it goes, I took smaller share size on this one. And that's pretty much what saved me on that one. Just taking smaller share size because it was a continuation. I really didn't think that it was gonna do as much as it did at first. The other thing that I didn't do is just take profit. Down here, let's see. Right here. Where did I enter? So I was in, bought here, came down, got close to profit. Was looking for it to go back up there and touch that. And what is it, 15 minutes? A minute. Okay. So my entry, I really was looking for it to break back up to 150. I held through all of this, held through all of this little flat part right here, which was a mistake. I should have just went ahead and took, because I was in profit a couple of times, right? But I ended up stopping out on the breakdown of this 134 level right before this big dump. So this is where I lost my 7 cents. But I held for quite a while from like 11, and then I got a call that I was like, oh boy, got a call, got on that call, handled that, came back. And I think I came back when it was like right up in here and it was pumping up. And I was like, okay, well, let's see what happens. But it just could not break that level, ended up breaking down, stopping me out. So it is what it is. I took the loss, and that was it. On the month, I that was my first red trade. Now this was my first trade of the month that I did not trade fresh catalyst. And so that was, oh boy, it's not even showing my screen. All right. Well, let's retry that real quick because it blacked out. So here are my trades for the month. YCB, I made that money on it on Friday. Gave back a little bit on the continuation. That was my first red trade of the month. Here's my calendar that I was showing. So kind of sitting and just make up a little bit for this if we can get some catalyst for the rest of the week. Now I'm going to stick to that fresh catalyst. That was the one thing that I was missing on this stock, is that fresh catalyst. Let's see. And what else? Oh, I was showing the chart here. The chart. 1 minute chart. So I entered after it had fell down and started looking like it was going to start trending up in here, but it fell down and it fell down a little lower. So it just kind of held this range right above that 130 level. And I was looking for it to get back up to 150. And this is where we ended up stopping out here, right at that, right before it broke down at 130. I was looking for 140. 140 had held for hours, but it just could not hold up, especially without the fresh catalyst. That's what I was showing you. I don't know why it went black, but it is what it is. Okay, let's go over here to let's go back over here to the micros. Okay, so we have AZI up here. AZI announced, oh, this is a Chinese stock. AZI. It announced the signing of approximately 980 million memorandum of intent. Okay, let's see that again. 980 million memorandum of intent for sales with multiple potential buyers. That's a lot of red flags there. So signing of approximately 980 million memorandum of intent for sales with multiple potential buyers. Okay. And it looks like it's run up the map too. So it's got 5 million shares on it. Let's see. Let's look at these other ones. CNY, it went on down. ASNS not looking too bullish. Vero, BDRX, and AZI. Okay. AZI is looking like it's going to become the leader here. $2.35, up 51 cents Chinese stock. So do our due diligence on AZI and make sure that is the case. Okay. Statistics. Oh, it's still there we go. So the float on this one is under 1 million. Shares outstanding 2.5 million. Heavily well, more held by insiders at 21%. And let's go to profile. Okay, Atozi Internet Technology, together with its subsidiaries, provides automotive products. Okay, automotive products and services through online and offline channels in the People's Republic of China. Has 86 employees, consumer cyclical industry, auto and truck dealerships with 86 employees. Copy that. That is where it seems that volume is pouring into right now. And I need to go back down to the 1 minute. I was wondering why I was looking like this. Okay, 1 minute. So it had a quick pop from 157 up here to 287. Right now it has 6 million shares traded on it. But yeah, man, it's been a pretty good month, you know, all in all. I just got to stick to that fresh catalyst. Fresh catalyst gets me there, man. It gets me there. And I think one of the things that messed me up a little bit was why CBD was moving on sector sentiment. It was my first sector sentiment trade in a long time where a whole sector was moving up, which was cannabis. And I was like, oh, okay, well, we'll see if the sector becomes or the sector catalyst becomes a theme, and it did not. It was a 1 day thing, a little runner gunner, and that's it. That is. But today is the 16th. We have, let me see, how many days we have for Christmas? We have 1 week from today, or actually, no, it's a little bit longer. Just about 1 week from today. Let's go see what's bumbling around in the news. All right, labor market is still frozen. Will it crack in 2026? Frozen. Okay. 48,000 new jobs expected for November jobs report. Biggest U.S. power auction set to deepen affordability concerns. Oil slides with focus on supply surplus. Ukraine peace talks. Pfizer forecast 2026 profit below expectations on low COVID sales. U.S. overdraft fees jump at big banks amid regulatory economic shifts. Treasuries edge up in wait for U.S. payrolls data. How Gen X is scrambling to close the retirement savings gap. Stock futures stall with all eyes on jobs report reveal. Wall Street thinks Microsoft's Edge or AI Edge could drive a $5 trillion future. Now, here's the thing: we just saw ChatGPT get a major boost up, and Microsoft and Google saw the mistakes that they made, and they probably learned a lot from the mistakes that ChatGPT made, and all the companies made that just poured money into ChatGPT. So, you know, I'm thinking that they're going to possibly do it better, but I just wouldn't be so heavy into one company. I would be more heavy into the infrastructure that it takes to build any AI data center, right? Batteries, any kind of servers, any kind of chips, you know, that kind of thing. So that way you have exposure, but you're not super exposed. Good morning, Senate. You're not super exposed to these high vol because you don't want, you know, Microsoft or Google to come out with a red alert and now all of a sudden we're going into a whole nother dump, right? The market did descend back down to 25, almost 25,000, but it's back up to 25,311. We only see one, pretty much one stock this morning that is taking the cake in the micro caps, which is a Chinese stock, AZI, with 7 million shares traded. Let me see. Let's see, Bureau, and none of these that I'm seeing have catalysts. Let's go to this MCI, just nothing. Okay, right. But overall, I think we're looking pretty good on the month. Just need to do a little bit of recovery. I'm not looking for the moon, but I am looking for some fresh catalyst that makes sense. we can already see how AZI is acting already, all of these little wicks. And it makes sense because the news headline is crazy. It says AZI announces signing of approximately 980 million memorandum of intent for sales with multiple potential buyers. So we already know this is going to treat people bad today. So I'm going to stay away from that one based off of that news headline and the things that we've seen on it. And it actually might be blocked. Let's go ahead and do our test to see if AZI is blocked over here on TOS. So let's just try to buy the bid. It is blocked. It is blocked. All right, back over here to the news.
November jobs report due out on Tuesday. Expectations, the delayed November jobs report due out on Tuesday. Expectations there, consensus for 50,000 jobs having been added in November. The unemployment rate ticking up to 4.5%. Joining me now, Gus Fauché, PNC Financial Services Group Chief Economist, and Leslie Falconio, UBS Global Wealth Management Head of Taxable Fixed Income Strategy. Thanks to you both for being here. Gus, I want to start with you and your expectations for jobs. Obviously, the data is still a little bit lumpy now. So what are your expectations and how, not seriously, but how, are there any sort of caveats that we need to take these numbers with?
Well, the biggest caveat is that the October number is going to show a big loss of jobs. Federal government workers who took the buyout option at the beginning of 2025, they're counted as employed until their severance expires, which is going to be included in the October jobs report. So we expect to see job losses of about 85,000 total, but that's going to be coming from the federal government. We expect to see weak job growth in November, gain of about 15,000. There's no question that the job market now is a lot softer than it was in 2023 and 2024. But because of what's going on with the federal government, we have to discount somewhat the big job losses that we expect to see in October.
And Leslie, what about you? In terms of what do you think the market is going to be trading on tomorrow in reaction to these numbers because of these various items of noise?
No, listen, I think, this week always has a tendency that there's a lot of data, but the liquidity might not be great. But I think the important part is the market is expecting the numbers to be weak. And the market is well aware of the fact that these are, have some clouded data due to government shutdown, due to DOGE. So I actually think that you probably would back up more on a strong number than you would rally on a weak number, because I think the market is expecting the numbers to be weaker, and the market doesn't expect to have a clear indication of what the jobs picture might actually look like until the first few months of 2026. So having this sort of lower jobs numbers expected, the market thinks is going to happen, and if it's stronger, then I think you're going to have a tendency to back up more in interest rates.
So, Leslie, are we in a sort of like bad news is good news environment here because of the implications for the Fed, not just of the jobs report, but of the CPI report we're getting this week?
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting because if you look at things like 10-year Treasury yields, if you look since like the end of August, we've been stuck in a sort of a 4.20 range in 10-year Treasury yields most of the time for a very long time. And I do think the market is expecting, inflation to be sticky, but not as volatile. And I think that's really the key. And that's the key when you think about how sort of correlations react in the market versus equity and fixed income. But we do anticipate that first quarter of 26 to start to see maybe a bit of a rise on the inflation front, albeit temporary, because we do think in the second half of 26, inflation trends back down again. So I do think that the data here, I mean, we have retail sales as well, which we know is coming off a weaker control group from the last print. But I do believe that the market is going to take some of this weakness, whether it's labor or even on the inflation side, as a bit more grain of salt. I'm just going to have to wait till the first quarter to get much clearer data.
So, Gus, does that mean we need to sort of look past this week to some extent? And if so, what do you think is coming in terms of that inflation cadence and jobs cadence next year?
Yeah, I do think that we need to look through this. I mean, obviously, this data is stale, a lot of it. So it's telling us about things that have already happened in the economy. I think we need to start thinking about the December jobs report, which will come out in early January. The FOMC will have that available for their meeting at the end of January. The December inflation numbers that we'll be getting, some preliminary data on Q4 GDP, things like that. So a lot of this data is in the past. There are a lot of caveats that come with this data. And I think that as we get into 2026 and the data start to catch up, that will give us a better sense of where the economy is in early 2026. And that's what's going to be guiding the Fed when they meet at the end of January.
Melissa,
All right, so I was just looking through Tesla and then Lilly. Yeah, these are some pretty big movers. Lilly looks like it's over $1,000 per share now, 1,062. Absolutely pushing up there. And I mean, it hasn't been to 300 and since what, 2023. It's an absolute runner. All right, let's go over here and look back at if there's anything new. Nothing new yet on the scans. But we watching.
the market has been dominated by two themes, AI and Fed rate cuts. Let's start there with AI trend. You say creeping doubt. It sounds like about AI stretched valuations. Walk me through that.
Well, the AI story is clearly a good story, but stock prices reflect that, if not more. And I think the growth would have to be phenomenally high in order to justify these valuation levels.
So does that mean, what are the implications of that? Does that mean, okay, I should expect to see a shift then away from AI names, away from AI leadership going forward?
Well, typically you wouldn't, just because they're expensive doesn't mean that investors start to flee them. But what it does mean is when investors do start to pull out, when they have some other reason that's driving them out, the drop tends to be bigger. So because they've got farther to fall. So we're starting to see that creeping doubt about at least about the near term for some of these stocks. And so, there is some concern that they could fall, not just fall, but fall a lot.
It's interesting the dispersion in the names. It's almost like it's not really the Mag 7 anymore. If you just look, it's almost like it's a Mag 3 or 4. I mean, does it get a lot tougher for investors in 26?
I think for many reasons it gets a lot tougher.
What are some of the other reasons it gets tougher?
Well, I mean, other reasons. We've had 3 up years, assuming that between now and the end of the year we don't fall too much. So 3 up years in the market tends to be followed by down years. It's or at least returns that are much less positive. So that's one reason, Xing out anything about the Fed or the data that's going to come out or what's happening with unemployment or inflation or anything else. And so I think we're facing some headwinds. We've had some good returns, but it's been on relatively low volume recently. Another concern we have is that volatility has been quite low, unexpectedly low.
Today. We got jobs reports coming out.
We're concerned that gives investors.
Okay, so they're talking about what situation investments are going to be in. Let's see, this week's job report, we saw that one. More Fed rate cuts won't guarantee lower mortgage rates. That was 40 minutes ago. Where the AI trade will see massive bifurcation in 2026. Is that this? No. Okay. I think we're going to see some blowouts, more speed, more risk. Yeah, I'm trying to see when this old Christmas rally is going to start, if it's going to do anything.
Tom, what do you like in terms of AI trades into next year? Is it still the tried and true? I mean, are we still staying long, Mag 7?
To a point, but I think we're going to see some pretty massive bifurcation. So I think that's sort of the next evolution of this trade, where there are going to be winners and losers within the Mag 7. If I had to pick one stock that I think is probably my favorite, it's Google, because of Gemini. And I think this is absolutely a code red for OpenAI, because Google has such a dominant position in search. It's very easy for people and enterprise to simply layer on Gemini on top of what they're doing, as opposed to going to a new chat GPT or something like that. And so I think that Google looks very attractive. I think companies like Oracle that are not overextended financially, but are sort of raising eyebrows with a lot of the spending that is tied to OpenAI. I think that companies like that could struggle. So for me, it's not all the Mag 7 is going to do well. There's going to be some pretty serious bifurcation. We've seen it in the last, say, 2 months of 2025. I think that gets worse in 2026.
Ivana, going through this process, you know, the two finalists for this award were NVIDIA and, of course, OpenAI, which has won the award. But throughout the process, Ivana, we never really even mentioned Meta. I mean, how much of an AI play do you view Meta at this point?
Well, Meta is a real AI play on the application side, but we haven't really seen them showing benefits from this new wave of investments, right? So that's really going to be the key to watch going into next year, whether they're going to be able to leverage this next wave of investments into returns on invested capital. So we saw them being able to do that with the first generation of GPUs, right? When they were facing a lot of competition from TikTok and they started implementing AI and they were really able to improve their algorithms significantly. Now the next wave is going to be whether they're able to introduce marketing AI agents that can help you manage your exposure, marketing exposure effectively. And I think that's coming. It's just going to be a question on when, right? So we're trying to look for early signs of that being effective and offered at a low cost.
Julie, over to you.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention 2 points here. First of all, if you look at the recent sell-off that we saw in stocks, and then the recovery has not been led by tech. It's been led by consumer discretionary and financials and industrial. So the broadening that we, have been talking about for a long time, it's starting to happen a little bit. It might be short-lived, but it is happening. And point 2, and this is something that investors have been bringing up with us as well, is that the AI trade is not going to be limited to AI or even tech companies at all, right? Investors are increasingly going to be looking to companies across industries, how they're leveraging AI in ways that we can't even predict yet in order to improve their businesses. And so that's something I think we're going to start to see and really start to look for next year when that starts to materialize. And that's going to be drawing some investing dollars as well.
No, good point, Julia. Yvonne, let me get back to you real quick. Do you view NVIDIA, Tom bullish on Google Alphabet, is NVIDIA still the most purest way to play the AI trade?
Well, it's certainly the purest way to play the AI trade, but you're not getting broad exposure, right? So it's really focused on the hardware side. So if you're looking to play more of the application layer, I think then Google would be a better way to get access to that. I think where we stand is we're looking, to Julie's point, for broader implications of the AI trade and trying to find opportunities that maybe are not on people's radars. So one example is the space economy. I think that's going to be really impacted here if we can actually get these data centers operating in space. Other examples are cybersecurity. So I think from where we stand, NVIDIA is a really good way to play the hardware side, but they don't give you a broad exposure to AI anymore.
What do you think comes of 2026?
All right, so yeah, she's talking about space and data centers in space. I mean, yes, I guess if you set up like solar type panels on a space station and have it, providing all of this energy, I guess you would be getting energy that's not necessarily drawing from the earth. But I don't know, how expensive is that going to be? It's pretty expensive to send a satellite to space and maintain it, even though it's just floating out in limbo, to maintain, getting hit by maybe an asteroid, getting hit by debris and all of this. It's just, I don't know. Is the maintenance worth it? But we'll see. I guess they'll be trying that. She mentioned it. Of course, we know Tesla had the whole SpaceX type deal, and maybe that's something he's going to implement on some of his spacecraft, but I'm not sure. We'll see. AZI was our top low float mover. It's almost to 10 million shares now. Chinese stock blocked on TOS. AMCI crash, really? No catalyst. So like I was saying at the beginning of the video, I took my first red trade of the month yesterday. It was on a continuation play on YCBD, the cannabis, no fresh news. And I was trying to continue to play that whole theme that we had seen with the cannabis from Friday, but it just did not work out. I did cut my loss pretty quickly. I don't know how well. No, I took smaller size. Took smaller size, so it didn't actually lose me all that I gained from my first trade on it. So I'm still green on that ticker overall, but you know, it is what it is. I got it. That fresh news, man, is what I do the best with. And it doesn't really matter if it's pre-market, intraday, or whenever. It's just I need fresh news. I need that day one the day of that news is when I do the best, it seems. So that's what I will be looking for on today as well. If anything can compete with AZI, and if AZI can go ahead and follow through the floor as more and more people read it. And one of the things I do notice is when there is a weaker headline, it kind of shows us that weaker headline even before, we start to see these crazy little wick patterns and things. And I just don't like to ignore these when I see these wicks, because let's say it does kind of stir up a little bit. That doesn't mean it's not going to return to what it's showing us on the day. And I don't think the chart ever really lies about what's going on in the market. If there's an indecision, it's going to show you. I'm like, yeah, there's some indecision here. Let's be careful. And so that's what I'm waiting on this one, for that indecision to take full control. But the volume is actually pouring into this one as well. So just a couple 100,000 shares here, and it'll be to 10 million. And it's, once it gets over WOK, it'll be the highest volume low float. And then in the non-micros, it will be the highest volume over here as well. So a whole bunch of little penny stocks in here, nothing to just run home about, and no real catalyst as of yet. But if we find some, best believe I'm gonna be on it. Is AZI curling? I mean, it could be curling, but did you read the headline of AZI though? AZI headline says it announces signing of approximately 980 million. Now, if you stop at the 980 million, you will think this is a good thing. But if you keep reading, it says it's a memorandum of intent for the sales with multiple potential buyers. So intent, potential. These things kind of throw some cogs in the wheel, or some wrenches in the wheel, if you say it like that. Now let's go and actually look and read a little bit deeper. But this is a Chinese stock, so see AZI. Let's look at that news. I know we looked at the profile and I already took notes and all of that good stuff, but let's just go and look at. Oh, it's still loading. Now, load it up. Bitcoin. What? I put AZI in here. It was confused. Okay, news. I'm running something that's slowing me down a whole bunch. I know I'm streaming, but man. Hey. No, I'm not using that much. Okay, no. All right, so news on AZI announces signing of approximately 980 million memorandum of intent for sales with multiple potential buyers. Now, let me go and look. I forgot what exactly. I remember memorandum of intent, but I do know intent and all of this could be. Memorandum of intent could be something. Hmm. Memorandum of intent for a company is a formal document that outlines the preliminary intentions of two or more parties entering into a business transaction. It serves as a framework for discussions, providing flexibility during the negotiation process. The memorandum of intent typically includes elements such as the scope, purpose, or scope of the proposed agreement, preliminary terms, and timelines for future discussions. While it is often informal and precedes formal contracts, it can include legally binding clauses such as confidentiality agreements. The MOI is essential for establishing mutual understanding before significant resources are invested into detailed contract development. Okay. So that is the memorandum of intent. And then behind that, 23 hours ago, yesterday, the AutoZ China Europe cross border supply chain platform officially launches, marking a key step in globalization strategy implementation. So a lot of this is just the process, right? Let's click on this real quick. Okay, so USD 980 million. The parties intend to engage in centralized procurement cooperation for complete vehicles and supporting automotive parts through AutoZ's digital automotive e-commerce platform. So basically, they'll be able to sell on their platform. Let's see, non-binding document. Expand overall transaction scale, turnover volume, diversify and service capabilities, further consolidate and elevate the company's leading position in automotive e-commerce. Yeah, yeah. I'm not too excited about AZI. I think it's going to fall through the floor and we're going to actually get something to trade. Yeah, AJ. So, well, first, I did not buy any options plays or shares or play options on these Nvidia or anything like that. For the most part, I just have long-term positions and they're pretty much strictly stock. I guess I'll just get a position and then I can use those shares to do options plays if I want to. But that's how I'll play it if I'm gonna play anything at all. Get 100 shares of whatever and just play with options on those shares. Maybe do some selling of puts, selling of calls, or just try to get some premiums off of those. AJ then says MOI, LOI, MOU, understanding are not nothing. The parties usually put a lot of work into it and also put good faith money. Yeah, but I didn't see anything about good faith money though. And also, is this memorandum of understanding, is it available to the public? Is it available to the public? And it's kind of tells us, some of the things, but I wouldn't just go out on a limb and say they're having good, because I'm believing if they were going to do a good faith agreement where they gave a little bit of money up front, they would have put that in here. But on this, I'm just not seeing the breakdown. I see the big number of 980 million, but I'm just not sure if this is just solid, you know. Not sure if it's just solid. So it went up to 287, had a slight little, it's kind of going flat in here around 225s. But we're gonna see. Maybe there'll be opportunity on it, but at this point, with the way that it's trading, I mean, it could get aggressive. Could get aggressive, but with it being this Chinese stock, I would be very careful on it for sure. Let's see what kind of ideas that it has in this motion. So it's kind of hard to draw trends up or down because it's so flat. It'd be a different thing if it was just going down here. We could draw a little trend, but it's just, I don't know. Corner control is at 221 on the 1 minute. Then on the 5 and the 15, we have 214 and 221 as well on the 5 and the 15 points of control. That's where the majority of trades have happened on these time frames. So about a 7 cent range in here, and it needs to move aggressively away from, you know, away from what's going on. What was that just popped up? Oh no. Oh, okay, gotcha. Why is he messaging me this early? All right. Especially for something that's not an emergency. Okay. So AZI peeking out. Also, are you trading on TOS? TOS, the trading is blocked for AZI, Chinese company. So, you know, TOS, I believe, has been saving many lives over the past 2 or 3 weeks with blocking some of this trading. From what we've seen, the big moves, of course, there's been some big halts up and all of that, but there have been some catastrophic moves to the downside. Moving back, I mean, things that go up to $10 going back to 30 cents that are Chinese. So, you know, in a way, I think they've been saving us a little bit, saving our skin a little bit. But if you're not trading on TOS, let's say if you're trading with Webull or what else? Interactive Brokers or whatever you're trading with, it may allow you to trade this, but Charles Schwab TOS is not playing any games with Chinese stocks. None whatsoever. And AZI is leading the day right now in volume. So a lot of people are over here trading this one. And if that is going to be the case, I'm going to kind of wait and watch for something else. Because a lot of times we get these little sneaky stocks that come up behind it. We see these the ones moving with a little bit of weak catalyst, and then boom, we got one that shoots past it, closer to the open, and you know, we're like, man, I wish I would have, but I'd rather just play the patient game and wait, and wait for that real catalyst to pop up. And if it doesn't happen today, oh well. I'm looking for that fresh catalyst to get active. Back over here, so it continues to kind of go up a little bit. Bottom side down here is 202. So about a 40-cent range in here for right now. Point of control moved up just a little bit to the 232s. Able to get through here? Will it be abnormal or will it just hold in this range? Here's my other range here. We had a range from 266. Actually, we didn't even look at the daily chart for this. Here we go, look at the daily chart. That's where everything starts. Got a little range, you got a little downtrend in this range. You also have a little bit of an uptrend. So it's going to have to decide what it wants to do in between here, the volume that it is currently bringing in. Got this little pin in here. Let's go look at this daily chart. Daily. So on the daily chart, We look back all the way to 2024. The highest that it's been is $4.05, moved down here to 70 cents, back up to $3, back up to 135, and now has gapped all the way up here to 154, all the way up to 250s on this little Chinese stock, but very sick daily chart for sure. So we'll see how that ends up trading out. We have this little range where it wicked out here at the outliers, and there's some little trends here, but we'll see how it goes in between here and kind of rise this. But not sure as of now whether it wants to be a complete uptrend or wants to just hold this sideways action. Maybe a little bit of an idea for an uptrend here. How that holds. So 220, and then it has $2, and then range here, breakdown of 202 or breakout of 266 would be interesting. Has 17 million shares traded. I mean, it is pumping the volume. That's one thing that I cannot disagree with you on. There is volume over here. People are interested, but I'm not sure if these are, you know, the type of people you want to be trading with. But we'll see. We shall see. Is it going to invalidate any of these trends? I don't know. So what I do basically in the morning, especially during pre-market, is try to find structure. And these are just ideas and see what ideas hold up. If people believe in it, great. Let's be with the believers. But if they don't, you know, and it's invalidating upward structure, then I just kind of stay out of the way. AMCI, this one's up 40%, but only 3 million shares traded. A lot of people, not as much volume as the other one. AZI has what, 5 times the volume of it. So I'm not sure how this one's gonna go, but not looking the greatest. And AMCI is a higher float as well. Not really a micro. Really, Nvidia coming up here. Whole lot of penny stocks in the non-micros though. AZI, so went up there and tested, and I was trying to see if this idea was going to hold here at the 221s or if it's going to invalidate. See here in a second. 18 million shares traded. Little crackdown, but that doesn't mean it's just completely over with. We'll see if they think about it, holding up here. We see the volume right there coming in at this level of 225s. See that? And this is the volume profile of you. This is in TOS. It's literally a default in TOS. It's called volume profile. It shows you exactly where that volume is coming in. What price that the volume is coming in at. And right now it's around 223-ish. We'll see what kind of action comes from that. Just because volume comes in doesn't mean that it's a turning point or up or down. It just is pretty much showing you, hey, something is happening here. Something big is happening here, especially when the volume bars run up like that. But now it's underneath this previous idea. We'll see if it starts to treat it as some type of resistance or if it reclaims it here back over the 225s. So at this point, a breakout of over 245 would be interesting, and a breakout under 206, going back towards the $2, would be interesting for the shorts. Almost 20 million shares traded now. AMCI coming on down. Does not have that volume. So the low of pre-market was down here at 138. At least it's above the ATR highs and things, but we'll see if it can actually hold that up. It's a 20 cent, almost a 25-cent drop down here to this 175. Treated this little uptrend as some type of resistance. Let's see if it go ahead and breaks down. Where is that catalyst, baby? I know one's gonna come in here, man, with some heat. We're just waiting on it. Let the scanners work. Don't do too much digging. AMCI keeps flopping back and forth. Really don't like that. Go ahead and drop. Okay, so it slightly invalidated this uptrend here. See if it breaks down again towards the 215s to confirm that it wants to break away from this level. And then we'll see how it holds this 207 and then the 202s down here. Let's see if we can get a clean breakdown, or does it want to get back over 222s? So here's a secondary idea for uptrend, if it can hold here. See if it can just chime in and out of here, or does it want to break down? Get back over 221. Almost 20 million shares traded now. So validating this idea, still within the overall idea. We break down the next one down here, 208s. Point, we got something in it, turn around. So big picture, it's been down here before. Maybe some people try to buy it off of one of these levels. I mean, this would be a dip in this structure, right? But is the dip worth it? We'll see. Came down almost to this level of the 207. Now we have a new idea here where it's slowing down and thinking about things. Can it get back over this 214, 215 level and try to retest this point of control? Up there, let's see how this idea holds. Can it pop the top on 214? Has room back up here to 243s up here, this top side at 30 cents. Man, what in the world? AMCI over 11, but this is an ugly chart pattern coming up here. Forming those nice little topping tail wicks on the 1 minute. We can see that volume pouring in around this $11. Isn't let's see, no catalyst, so let's see if they actually end up selling this off here. Back under the point of control of 1074. A lot of volume coming in here. If it is volume that's going to be pushing it up, it needs to go ahead and push it. Almost a double top there at 1128. 5 million shares traded on that one. Pushing through, so from 11 to 1150 on AMCI. The volume still at these levels. We want to see, why isn't the volume moving higher though? It's only down here at 1097. So is it going to make a return trip very quickly? We're not seeing any at these prices up here at 1136. I don't like that. It should have been moving up with this. Bars are still huge. See it coming though. They're just not as big as these down here, and it's doing a return trip back down to these older ones. Okay, back up here to AZI. Reach down here to the previous idea. Right there on the 207s, breakdown of 201. So this is very low risk for the longs. I would expect if they're gonna buy, it will be down here towards this dip. And a lot of times we try to buy the dip, but it's like the dip has to be within a structure, right? You have to draw the structure and figure out where the dip is, right? It's not just buying any dip, because if I had no structure out here and we were like, oh yeah, we're gonna buy the dip, well, the dip could be down here, you know? But when you see this structure, this body forming, and you could just draw it out, you can figure out, okay, this is a dip in this structure. This is a dip in this structure. You know what I'm saying? Rather than just buying a dip. But the bottom of this is 208s, and I mean the risk level will probably be like $2 at this point. It's 13-cent fall. All right, AMCI still holding up where it was. 1139s. So during the day, I'm going to be looking for something with some fresh catalysts on today. If these things are going to be the #1 leaders, I'm just going to kind of be sitting on my hands. Yesterday, I probably should have sat on my hands, but today, you know, nothing pops up. I'm cool with it. And of course, we have the jobs reports coming out today, so people may be kind of holding back as well, seeing how the jobs are doing. Like they were talking about earlier on the news updates, you know, jobs could be showing more negative numbers, but we know that the shutdown happened. We know that people did get laid off of some of the jobs, but it created space for more jobs. So, you know, that's why they were slightly more positive, even on negative data. Let's say it does post, oh yeah, the jobs were lost. Well, we know because of forbearance, because of not forbearance, but severance packages and things like that running out. That makes sense. But yeah, we're definitely going to be continuing to look into that and keeping our head on a swivel. But as for now, I haven't found anything during pre-market, any catalyst during pre-market that I'm like, oh yeah, I want to touch that. AMCI back down to 11. 7 million shares traded on it. Threw a wick down here to 1093. And yeah. All right, let me go back over here. Views and see if we got anything new. U.S. Treasury Besant, Kevin Warsh and Kevin Hassett, both qualified for Fed. Out a Trump media deal with a crypto firm exposes potential conflicts of interest. Nuclear startup Last Energy raises 100 million for its steel encased micro reactor. Okay, Pfizer expects a decline. Okay, we saw that earlier. So these three are the new ones. Kevin Warsh, Kevin Hassett, both qualify for Fed. How Trump media deal with a crypto firm exposes potential conflicts. And then nuclear startup Last Energy raises 100 million for its steel encased micro reactor. All right, so that is it for today. I'm gonna go ahead and jump off here and get to some other work. If I see something pop up, I'll let you guys know in the Discord. The Discord is free to join. We continue conversations over there about what we see during the day, what news catalysts are coming out, and how the overall market is moving throughout the day. So there's always updates in there, especially when there's something to trade for us. We're probably going to be a lot more active in there, and the chat will be rolling with all of our what you may call it, input as far as how we're looking at this trade and all of that. And I post pictures in there as well. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today. I'm gonna get on down the road. And as always, appreciate you guys for tuning in. And I will see you in the next one tomorrow morning pre-market. Enjoy your day. Keep your head on the swivel. Peace.